And now for the panel discussion on smart mobility, on smart logistics and connected mobility. I would like to invite on stage our speakers, Ms. Monica Saxena, Chief Strategy Officer, Refin, Mr. Mukesh Diogun, co-founder, Trackco, Mr. Satyabrata Satapathy, CEO, Bonby Technology Private Limited, Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, AVP Mobility Solutions, JK Tires, and our moderator, Mr. Ramesh Krishnan, Associate Director, Agarwal Packers and Movers. Please give a round of applause and welcome on stage our speakers for this session. I will request the speakers and the moderator to please come up on stage.
Good afternoon, everybody. The session is about smart logistics and connected mobility. What is smart logistics basically? Smart logistics is actually an effort to minimize, if not completely eliminate, manual effort and put mechanized, automated, robotic software application in handling operation, in handling equipment as well as data, thereby reducing error, avoiding duplication, optimizing time and effort, and supposedly reducing the cost. We will discuss in detail about how we manage to reduce the cost with the team. And connected mobility is not only about bringing technology, but also it is to create an ecosystem which brings collaboration and innovation. Mobility operator, I mean the transporters, infrastructure operators, providers, town planning, state, center, and other ecosystem joined together to develop a platform, technology platform, which enables seamless integration of all these stakeholders and help in effective data sharing and data crunching and enable you to take balanced and known decision, solution. We have in this panel Monica Singh, who is not exactly into logistics but into financing. They are connected to, their company is connected to us in the way that they finance only e-commerce, electric vehicle. They finance electric vehicle. Mukesh Duagne is a co-founder of two startup logistics. He's a young man with two startups. One is Trackco, which is a operating software for logistic industry, and he has one more company called Signo, where he helps a very crucial problem of transport industry of providing drivers. Am I right? So he has created a platform where he helps you finding drivers, which is the most vexing problem in the current logistic industry. Then we have, these are software supporters. Now we have on hardware, which is Sabrata Satpathy. He is into hardware, he is into drones. Drones are, of course, still in a long way in as far as India is concerned, but they are still into defense and healthcare sector. We will discuss in detail how it's going to grow in the country. Then we have in the other side of our industry, Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, who is from JK Tire. He is the seeker of our service. So we will see how we, it's a collaborative effort here also, how we are able to collaborate and we are able to satisfy Mr. Sanjeev Sharma. I'll now go and sit there and we'll start the discussion in the panel. So we will start with Mukesh. You are trying to solve two of our major problem. One is, how do you think you have been able to solve? If you ask most of transporters here, the major problem they face is to get a reliable driver. If either they are good driver, but good and honest driver, in fact, and then who is there dedicated to you, because probably what is happening is somehow we are not able to satisfy a driver in the industry, and the next generation is not getting into driver. So it is getting more and more complex to get a driver. So how do you manage to solve the problem? Is it only through software and system you are able to solve it, or you are giving something else again, apart from providing manpower?
Thank you. Thank you all for giving me the opportunity. I'm being the youngest among all. There are some industry veterans who can answer this pretty much. But what currently we are doing is, thanks to my team and my other partners, I got opportunity to solve the problem from 0 point. That's first the driver point of view. We initially started solving the issue of driver, how the driver sourcing has been done, how to make sure that we have recruited a proper driver who has been properly verified and vetted by a proper thorough checks and whatever the checklist is there. So we solved this issue via various solutions. We initially implemented some AI sourcing to onboard almost 10,000 drivers in our own platform via our AI sourcing call bot. Then we started analyzing. Okay, we have started solving the problem for the driver. What are the other problems which need to be solved from the transporter side? Sourcing has been done, but transporters need to have a proper verified drivers. So we then onboarded. We are onboarded multiple partners for verifications and other things. Some AI algorithms and other for verifications of their all the KYCs and informations, so that drivers are properly vetted, and they have a thorough. We have a thorough mechanism to making sure that drivers already experience of 15 years of experience, and they have a proper training to drive that specific skill set of the vehicles. Then we started analyzing the second company. We analyzing the problem set is probably much bigger. The manufacturers, those who does not have any assets, are relying on third-party logistics vendors to solve their issues. Although they will be having a SAP, Oracle, and IBM, but managing this large tier 1, tier 2 logistics companies is pretty hectic.
We are currently restricting ourselves to driver.
Yeah. No, so we started with the driver, then we started solving the problems for other stakeholders. So from drivers, we started solving the problem from transporters to the fleet owners to the manufacturers, those who does not have any assets.
So you take care of the requirement that a transporter have about a driver.
Right.
How do you take care of a problem that a transporter, the driver is facing from the transporter?
So for that, we have a multiple helpline which is created.
Which is the main source of the shortages happening because of that, I would say.
So for shortages, what we are doing, we have a driver training schools various across the India, where we have some digital as well as manual training schools for drivers. For digital, we have some simulators which we are working on as of now. We have a few partners we have been in talks with, where we're making sure the specific skill set, there are some hazardous specific skill set which is being required are been fulfilled. For that, we have some driving school which has been implemented.
Again, what I'm saying is you're doing everything which will help a transporter get a effective, efficient, trained driver. How are you doing anything to solve the challenge that a driver is facing? And that's why it is becoming slowly a huge problem.
So for driver side, what we are doing, we are making sure that they are getting a proper timely payment. The corporate employee gets the payment at 31st or 1st of their month. For driver, the payment cycle is like per trip or per day, something like that.
Okay.
So we make sure that they get a timely payment through my platform.
Well, Monica ji, you are into financing of e-vehicle.
That's right.
Why this? Is it a niche plan of being a niche market, or why are you being so exclusive only on this thing? The industry has very frugal percentage of e-vehicle now. So you're looking at a future and you're trying to target that, or is it any calculated reason why you're only into e-vehicle?
So, am I heard? So when we talk about electrification of vehicle, neither it is niche, nor should it remain niche. India has a goal by 2030, 30% of our vehicles should be electrified. And we are sitting in a forum today where we are talking about logistics, we are talking about supply chain, and you talked about the cost. I think it should be the primary objective of logistics to start talking about transition of vehicles from ICE to electric. Because the savings that you do when you are driving an electric vehicle is much, much higher than what you do for ICE vehicle.
Incidentally,
So
Monica ji, e-vehicle is neither cost effective currently, and the recent report globally is that all the e-vehicle owners are going back to normal vehicle. They would like to go back. That's a report I just saw a week back. So are you betting on the right horse, or you are looking at anything that is sustainable?
No, I think we are betting on the very right horse. And when we talk about EVs are expensive, never ever should you go by the cost of the vehicle. What you should be looking at is TCO, which is total cost of ownership. When you have a vehicle which is being driven for years, and today when we talk about, as I speak, we are partnering with Tata for their EV ka product hai, ACE 1000, where that truck would be used for transportation. We are talking with Bajaj, three-wheelers. We are talking to all the two-wheelers, Kinetic and the bounces, and e-rickshaw. So the reports will come, reports will go. But the point is this, we have to look at a total cost of ownership that comes with electric vehicle, the savings that people do, and importantly, this is a goal that UN has. UN SDG has goals on sustainability. India has goal on electric mobility. So it is not just about riding a cycle, rickshaw. It is about making sure that we are also creating a sustainable world. So REFIN is an organization which is exclusively financing electric vehicles and doing it for financial exclusion, giving financing to those who do not have access to financing. So to your point, it is not niche, it is something that every organization and importantly any forum which is talking about logistics, electrification of their vehicle should be their top agenda because that's where the savings are.
Just to do a reality check, is it that government is pushing everybody towards electricity, so they have no choice, so they are going to electric vehicle? We will like to go to the other side of this
Sure.
thing, and
Thanks.
maybe Sanjeev ji, you can tell me your experience. How is electric vehicle being put to use by the user, and how effective are they? How are they benefiting you in the larger?
Yeah, on the, I'll touch on the truck and bus side of it, right? And
I'm just playing a devil's advocate, so I'm not saying that I should not. It's a devil. I'm just playing a devil's advocate. Yeah.
You should.
All right. This is not only catching up, but the government is actually enabling the, to so that it is adapted at a faster pace. You see, in all those cities today, the new buses are all electric, which are supported by the government, financed by it, and there are a lot of incentive to the operators. And say,
And still, it is costlier.
sorry.
Still, it is costlier.
No, I tell you, it is not costly as Monica ji said. Why? Because when something is difficult, there are solutions. In case of buses, the bus cost is, let's say, 1 crore 60 lakhs, and the normal bus, even the best of the bus, will be 70 or 80 lakhs. So there are now, but the public needs it, right? They don't want, smoke in the cities. At the same time, people like you and me would prefer to sit in an electric bus rather than the other one. Then there are, the framework is designed that now the contracts are for 10 years, 15 years. The investment itself is done by the manufacturer. There are people to invest to the manufacturer and promote it. And now you see all the electric buses, 99% across the country. If I'm right, there are 2,000 buses and 10,000 more will come, right? And they will be no one need to buy, but use it. There is a manufacturer to run and
Sanjay
repair
ji,
it.
I was discussing to few transporters. A service seeker would put this thing that we are going green, so please, I want only electric vehicle. Now, he is not investing. He says, I want reduced cost and I want e-vehicle. The transporter is facing a problem that if I invest, which is slightly costlier, I don't know whether it is really, it has not been tested. Maybe you were saying that 8 years it will take, 7 years it will take. So that's why they are not willing to be, they are funding only 70% or different thing you were saying. So it is not still tested. Cost is high. The resale value may not be as high as that's what is being predicted. It's not as high as this thing. So transporters actually in many cases does not have a choice. He's investing. He's forced to invest because the service seeker says, I want electric vehicle. And then he says, since it's electric vehicle, I want the cost to be coming down. One is hoping that in due course, maybe in 6 or 7 years, he will actually benefit. But it's still shooting in the dark. So as a service seeker, have you ever bought any vehicle and tested and seen that it is good? No, you are just depending on transporter. You are instructing a transporter to go for electric vehicle. And do you think it's sustainable? That has to be seen. So it would be very interesting again to seek the opinions of transporters here, whether they would like to willingly go for electric vehicle or they feel that they don't have a choice.
I tell you, see, there is the whole model is going to change soon, right? A transporter, I feel, like I said, I tell people don't buy tires. Now you can imagine what I'm talking. A truck needs at least 2 lakhs of tires every 8 months or 10 months. And I'm talking about transporter having 500 trucks.
50% of the buyer in US and quite substantial people in India have said that they would like to go back to the traditional vehicle.
No,
I'm talking about passenger cars.
No, there are sorry, just intervening here. See, the transporter need to use the truck. He should be master of using it efficiently for his business.
Are we having
There are
enough
people-
infrastructure to charge it? Have we created that much of infrastructure?
We heard NHEV presentation. Of course, I'm with you on that. It will take some time. But why now, since somebody is there to lease you a truck, use it. You are a logistic provider. You are not. You need not to be a owner of a truck. Why should you be?
No, I'm talking about the actual who buys. I'm talking about
It is happening. If it is
the
happen,
one who is actually buying it.
I'm telling you, let's say if we are talking about trucker, bus owners are also transporter. 99% of the buses are today running in the country.
See,
They are not
buses,
bought.
again, buses cross country, you were saying, cross interstate.
Yeah, that is also, we heard about Nugo. You just see they are Delhi, Jaipur, Delhi, Himachal, even in Andhra, and nobody is buying that. There are people to finance it, manufacturer itself provides it, and the guy should use it. Transporter should use it. They should think of it. They should think of why to own trucks. And then comes the efficiency. Why to have 100 trucks every year added to your fleet, buy 90 and have same profits and the same efficiency. I think that is coming to the, if I tell you my experience when dealing with the top 100 transport companies, having 500 trucks or more, they are really thinking, trying. Of course, it will take a little time.
Monica ji, then is it you are fixed on electric vehicle or any sustainable? I think you will be okay with any
When we
sustainable
talk about revolutionizing sustainable mobility.
mobility. Yeah.
And at this point of time, electric vehicle is our focus. And I know you are stuck onto the word, the cost of the vehicle. Please change your mindset.
No, I'm
from
not
cost
stuck on
of the vehicle
No,
to
I'm
the
sorry.
TCO.
I'm saying
Because
the
when we
infrastructure
talk-
that is support
Yes, I'll
ecosystem,
come to both the points.
the cost,
Yeah, I'll
the
come to
resale
both the
value.
points.
I'm stuck
Yes.
about everything.
Yeah, so the
And
when
I
we
said
ta-
I'm playing devil's advocate.
Yeah, you should be playing devil's advocate.
Yeah.
But when we talk about electric vehicle, what we need to look at the cost of per kilometer.
So
What's
normal
lesser
vehicle
than-
you fund 90%, and electric vehicle you fund 90%.
So it depends. We fund from 75 to 90%.
Why not 90%?
Because it depends. It depends on your credit, the person who you are funding. So let's not get into why 90. So first, let me just explain it to everyone in the room. Anything, any form of energy which is new takes time in settling down. Electric vehicle has already reached the stage where it is considered as one of the major form of any form of fuel, if I may use, or something which has already found its space. It takes time for mindsets to change. It's changing. When we talk about all the e-commerce, from the Swiggies to the Zomatos to the porters, everyone is partnering with us, and many of them are partnering for electrification of their vehicle. Three-wheeler, four-wheeler, so it would take some time. It needs education, and along with education, it also needs some support from different partners. So when we look at government, they are coming up with some subsidies. The organizations, the transport or the logistics company may have to help the transporters or the drivers to begin with start adopting electric vehicles. Lease or loan is one form, but the point is this, are people adopting electric vehicles? And the moment they get the right education, there is absolutely no reason why they would not, because the total cost of ownership and the cost of driving is so much cheaper than buying any other ICE vehicle.
Right. So that's how connected mobility comes into focus. Connected mobility is developing an ecosystem where all these players, the service provider, the financer, the operator, the transport operator, all of them come together in an ecosystem. They develop platform where they help each other and grow. So that is what is the discussion. That's why I took this discussion to that side, because that is what is mobility connectivity all about. It is the developing of ecosystem where we need to, in case of electric vehicle also, we need to develop that ecosystem. Subrat, Satya, you are into a very technologically high sector, and you are into drones. We saw your drone, very impressive. Congratulations. And in India, drones are still at a infancy stage, and probably development can happen better in India, probably because we are technologically very sound. But the actual use of drone may still take time, commercial use of this thing. But still, it is now majorly into defense and healthcare sector. So, what do you think? What is the future of drone, and how do you think it's going to grow? And what are the challenges that you think we'll face in India?
Thank you for your question.
Again, for developing ecosystem, you will need to develop that.
Yeah, definitely. As in, see, it is a deep tech sector. When every deep tech sector actually takes some time, okay. And our Prime Minister vision is to make India drone capital of the world by 2030, right? With that, I think today government is the market maker for aerial vehicles. You say so. We are in the development of aerial vehicle for transportation class. As in, if you could have actually seen the vehicle outside, it's made out of aluminum, and it's like an it's a very metallic body, and which is going to go through like lot of maintenance, repair, and those process. So it is, now India is also caught up to the Western world, also, kind of at par with the China, actually to compete in this sector. Because if you see actually a drone, it's about a minimum number of moving parts, right? This vehicle has like motors which are more or less of 10, 12 number of moving parts. Then there is like flight control system, and then here a lot of electronics. It is less of mechanical and more of electronics. And India is definitely doing well in integrating electronics and writing softwares. Our engineers are actually writing softwares all over the world, like for every kind of industry today. Even in aerospace, like deep aerospace, our Indian engineers are writing. We are definitely heading in a big way of you can say democratizing this aerial mobility for masses. Okay, definitely it will take time, because our regulation is evolving. Our entire industry is new, and there is a lot of new players coming in this sector, and which is also very good. I must tell you that when you get into a sector where there are a lot of new players in the market, then the real innovation happens, kick in, right? And all these are actually startups and doing a lot disruption, in this space. Of course, defense, disaster are the first level of use cases where these drones actually have got certain exemptions to be operated, right? And once these in the future, we will see that emergency evacuations are happening through between hospitals. These vehicles are operating. The electric aerial vehicles are like eVTOLs now in US and Europe are actually talking about people transportations. And like our Indigo has actually signed for like 100 number of vehicles with US based companies, and these are coming in a couple of years. It will not actually take 10, 20 years or so to come. It will be actually in a couple of years. And definitely
These will be basically in controlled environment.
yes.
Yeah.
So there has to be corridors, as in this,
Yeah, it
the
has to be-
design of the corridors,
Yes,
and we
yes.
definitely are working as industry. We have our subcommittees, which is formed under Ministry of Civil Aviations, where we are continuously working on policy changes, because we as OEMs actually take a lot of responsibility of the safety and you say the security of the vehicles, and that's definitely, and that's already happening in this space. It is happening at a faster rate, I would say. Like I am in this drone industry for last 13 years.
Okay.
Now I started my career post BITS in BITS Pilani, after my computer science in masters. I kind of last 12 years I am seeing actually this industry is evolving, and in the last 4 years I must tell you this is like evolving at a much faster rate. What you're seeing is probably another 2 years down the line or so, you will see many more companies would be there who would be actually working on real transportation of people. Goods is one part, people definitely goods transportation as we speak are happening, right? Government is definitely using in certain areas for good transportation, and our private sector have actually started adopting these at a pilot stage. They are
A private sector, I don't know. It's still I see tremendous potential of this in a controlled environment. I see tremendous potential of this in a closed room this thing, and also defense and healthcare. I see tremendous potential in that coming. But see, always one thought that drones, especially when you compare to India vis-a-vis Western countries, the cost of manpower is very cost, so it makes also sense. And the density is, but they don't have density. And in case of US, the density is very good. In case of China, density is very good. They both are using it. We have density and the labor is very cheap. So in that sector, what happens is that is the labor is a major issue. In fact, I do remember quite some time back, Flipkart had completely robotized their operation in warehouse. They had completely done it through Grayscale, but they could never implement it because it was not working out. So same thing happens in case of drone also. There is a typical this thing. US has huge cost and the density, so it becomes much faster going by instead of taking a car, you go by drone. And in case of China, the density is very high, but they're still managing it. So how do you think India will take this?
So for example, today like Amazon and Alphabet, the Google's parent company, are doing a lot of delivery in US and Australia, right? And if we see the scenarios here, right, in India, like it is actually not because their people are not available, and it is it is
No, in
cheap.
US it is density also. It's such a large, such a spread
Right,
place. It is easier to do it through drone.
It's actually spread, right? It's
Yeah,
spread over.
yeah.
But here you see also like these vehicles are carbon free. These are carbon neutral, right? When you target to actually become net zero emission and carbon net neutrality, as in flying wise, they're not actually emitting
I
anything.
personally feel carbon neutral is a term which is मजबूरी का नाम महात्मा गांधी जहाँ होता है
हाँ.
वैसे carbon neutral everybody speaks, it's a jargon,
नहीं.
but practicing is always
Yeah,
by
mi-
force or
But Mr. Ramesh, I must tell you, like everybody
No, India is taking it very seriously.
Start with a jargon, but they need to really deeply need to work on that. Otherwise, this neutrality will never be achieved. I have seen like factories in the US. Okay, even some of them are in India are operating on hydrogen. Like they have actually get away with ICE, the generators. The gensets are not there, and they are all on hydrogen. Hydrogen production is also not less. Okay, it is not that complex also, and they are better energy efficient, much better energy efficient. Just that initial investment cost and so are right high. But with that, if you run your entire factory with like a renewable energy, like then you actually are achieving, you even supplying energy to the grid back, right? So solar also, some of the actually are some of the companies today actually operate on solar, and they also supply some to the feed to the grid, and we have seen like in practice. Definitely things like these are happening, and in the India I see that with right policy in place, okay, with the corridor, with the drone corridors in place, we will definitely have drones flying in the sky. At the same time, the helicopters and other flying objects should be flying with proper regulations, and having like the unmanned traffic management system, which is the UTM. And those testings are just beginning, but it will happen at a rapid scale. Most of our Indian companies, the software companies, are actually working in the Europe to make the unmanned traffic system happen. It will not take time for them to actually switch to the the Indian contest, and some of them have actually at least also started trialing it. Things are happening at a faster scale than before. I'm
Yeah,
telling you,
definitely.
between
And government
2020
is also very serious on this,
Yes.
and they are trying to develop the ecosystem to do it.
Yeah.
Sanjay ji, what do you think? What do you think of all these sustainable new initiatives?
Sustainability, as you said, and the carbon neutral, these are the things, the first is the good that the industry has adapted and they are working on it. And then they are also investing in it. In our product, we are talking about recycling, right? And then, a lot of technologies will come in this area to India. In fact, fortunately, unfortunately, we have to follow what is happening in the US or in Europe in area of research. But this country is adapting very fast, and there is a lot of investment going in, as all the responsible manufacturers are investing into this, and so are we. We are looking forward to a time when we will take back the rubber, oil, and few things from the used tire and put it in the new tire, and reduce our dependence on import of the raw material like rubber and other components. So that is what is happening in this area as a tire manufacturer.
Mukesh, what is your take on how is software supporting this sustainability of
So if you draw a single line,
and the ecosystem?
yeah, so if you draw a single line, multiple stakeholders are involved for one point of delivery to another point. Consignor, consignee, financiers, LSPs like logistics partners. Each stakeholders contribute a certain level of data. The supply chain visibility also provide a make a stakeholders make a proper decisions in terms of sustainability, making sure that data is properly visible to all the stakeholders, so that any actions, any SLA criteria, whatever they want to take, the actions can be visible to all. The actions can be to proper control towers and other things. So that is my take. Making sure that all the data should be visible to all supply chain stakeholders can provide a much more help in the making sure the
I
mobility.
believe ULIP has given a lot of thirst to all these software operator, and they
Yes.
have given a lot of platform where you can develop the ecosystem. So maybe that is one area where you
So
would like to.
yeah, with the help of ULIP, I think what we have seen in India, there are multiple companies are already involved. I think hundreds of companies who are helping these manufacturers and multiple stakeholders via various integrations. They have integrations with verification of drivers. They have making sure they want to provide a visibility of ICE gate, ICD visibility, making sure that they also provide a visibility of all the EV bill, GSTs and other things. So they are also helping in making sure that data is visible to all the stakeholders.
Great. I think that's in gist what we have covered. If anybody wants to say a last word on mobility and connected mobility and this thing.
I think this is more of a definitely ecosystem, and we are really growing in this ecosystem. For example, actually, I was just speaking to Mukesh on can have actually a lot of support in terms of the knowledge ecosystem that actually can help us to enter into the logistic right segment, and Monica can come forward and actually help us to finance these system, because essentially these are also EVs, right? Operated by battery powered vehicles, and can be also like take Sanjeev can take certain services from our side, like companies like
Quick
JK Tires
one-line
and
wrap
others.
up everybody should do.
Thanks. Yeah.
So, so just a one line wrap up, just wanted to highlight what I understand from this industry. Adaptation is the new ROI. Many people have built the technology, in-house technology, but due to the poor adaptation, there is a poor ROI. So that's just wanted to highlight that point.
Yeah, when we talk about mobility solutions in India, so there are certain areas which deals with the technology and the long-term adaptation by like EV or the drones and it, but there are certain immediate challenges in front of the truckers and the logistic companies to grow, which is about database decisions, right? Whether it's truck, engine, or maybe the tire and the whole operations. I think there we need to have a more collaboration. All manufacturer, all stakeholder, whether truck companies, tire companies, transporters, other people, developers, they should come on board. We are seeing it happening also. And so that ultimately the objective is to reduce the cost of operations. So that is what is this. And I shared with you on tires what we are doing as a responsible partner. And we look forward to what Satya is saying on things like that in future.
That's all. I think sustainability is not an option anymore. It is something that we all should move towards, and mobility should accept it with open arms and mind. that
Lovely.
It is. Thank you so very
Lovely.
much.
Anybody would like to ask anything? Otherwise, we'll wrap up the session. The August panel, if you want to ask anybody any doubt, anything, your point of view.
Yeah, like Bonvi, we say, let's do one flight at a time. I think one step at a time is right, the right thing right now. Yeah.
I guess nobody has anything to ask, so we'll wrap it up. Thank you very much, and thank you for bearing with us. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you to all our speakers for coming here. I would now like to invite on stage Mr. Vikas Chawla and Mr. Balveer Bhadana. I request them to please present our speakers with mementos and gifts. We want to thank them for coming here and sharing the wealth of their knowledge with the audience here. Would request you to please present a memento and a gift to Ms. Monica Saxena, Chief Strategy Officer, RevFin. A memento and a gift for Mr. Mukesh Deogun, co-founder Trackco. A memento and a gift for Mr. Satyavata Satpati of Bonvi Technology. A memento for Mr. Sanjeev Sharma, AVP Mobility, JK Tires. And a memento for Mr. Ramesh Krishnan of Agarwal Packers and Movers, the moderator of the session. I request all of you to please gather for a group photograph. If Monica can just spare 2 minutes and come back again for a group photograph, that will be awesome. Thank you to all of you.